record. Okay.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to 3 Minute Monday. And what 3 Minute Monday is all about is this book, The 3 Minute Rule by Brant Pinvidic. So Brant was a television producer and he had to pitch shows to the networks all the time. And he was really good at it, but it would take him 90 days and $30,000 just to put together a pitch for a network. And he'd only get like 1 out of 10 shows picked up. And it was really, really frustrating for him. He's like, I can't do this. This is not sustainable. I need to figure out a better way. So he started thinking about it. And one of the things he realized is he saw a Microsoft study that said the average attention span of a person is about 8.2 seconds now. If you don't get somebody engaged in 8 seconds, you lose them. And we all know that. I mean, with social media and everything else going on, it's hard to keep people's attention. So he said every pitch, whether it's for a startup or for a TV show or a pitch to the PTA Association, they should all be 3 minutes or less. And it's like, well, wait a second, I'm doing genomic sequencing. I can't explain this in 3 minutes. He says, bullshit. You can explain anything in 3 minutes. You just need to have a formula for how to condense your story. So what he says is, simplicity is power, clarity is compelling, and information is value. If you think about it, the more simple you make something, the better people will understand it. And another thing he says is it's not the person you're pitching, it's the person that they're going to be pitching. So say I tell Scott about SimpleSeq and I get him so confused that he goes to tell Kim Summers about this new company SimpleSeq that's coming into Murrieta. And by the time he's done hashing this whole thing out, she's totally confused because I didn't tell Scott in a very simple way what we do. And so he can't tell that to other people. So the way this guy changed it is he developed a formula. And since he started using this formula, he has sold over 300 television shows. It takes him about 30 days to develop a pitch. And each pitch is less than $10,000. And the reason it's even $10,000 is because these are all video pitches. So he has to have a production crew and all that stuff because it's TV. But that tells you that this formula works. So what is the formula? What do you do? How do you do it? Are you sure? And can you do it? So basically what you're trying to tell people is, here's what I do. Here's how we do it. I know it works because of X. And we're the team that can make this happen. So I took this, it was funny because I was actually listening to this book on Audible while I was exercising one morning. And I go, man, this guy's really good. So I went online and I bought the book because I wanted to read it. Audible is audible. It goes in one ear, out the other. And then that afternoon, I had a webinar that I attended called Pitch Anything, which is our Pitch Anything Thursdays. And Oren Klaff, who does the Pitch Anything deal, was interviewing Brant Pinvidic on his show the same day that I had just found out about this book. And I'm like, oh, the gods are telling me, you better listen to this. So I immediately went back online and I bought 2 more books. I sent one to Brandon Young and one to John Powers. And I said, we need to take this to heart. We need to do this. So what I want to do now is share my screen. And the whole key behind the 3 minute rule is you have to dive down into your business or into your pitch, whatever you're pitching. You have to dive down into the very nuggets of information. It should just be one word, and it should be on a Post-it note. So you start going down and you start putting these words on Post-it notes, and you put them on a wall, or, you know, we used a whiteboard, and you just keep drilling down. And every time you come up with a word, you say, why? Why are you using that word? Or if it's an action, you say, how do you do that? And you keep drilling down, drilling down, drilling down, drilling down. And you get to a point where you've got all these bullet points sitting on a wall. Then the next thing you want to do is use the whack. So what do you do? How do you do it? Are you sure? And can you do it? You start organizing your Post-it notes according to those categories. Where does this note fit? Is it a what, a how, an are, or a can? And you start doing that. It took us 3 days to put the Post-it notes up, because we'd keep saying, okay, our brains are dead. Let's go try, get some sleep, come back and try it again. We filled up the board, and then we started narrowing it down. It took another couple days to get it narrowed down to this point. But ultimately, what you want to do is get to a point where you only have maybe 10 under each area. So now you've got your main bullet points. Now you need to create value statements out of those bullet points. So what he recommends is just put them on an index card. Then all of a sudden you have your value statements. So when you start using this formula, you've gone from telling somebody in 30 minutes something that they're never going to remember to a very short, less than 3-minute presentation that'll tell them exactly what they need to know so that they can tell other people. That's the whack. So that's basically what I want 3-minute Mondays to be, is us starting to do whacking with each other. Is start, like, if you're, Scott, if you're pitching something and you're saying, I'm having a hard time pitching this to council, we can all work together on helping you define what are the key points of that. And I'm not saying that that's something that you probably want to do with a large audience.
It is, and can we start now? I've got 7 of them for you.
Oh boy. But if you start using this method, it really works. So I think as a community, the first thing I recommend is anybody on this webinar should go out and buy the book so that you understand what we're talking about next time we get together, because next month we can start actually doing a whack with somebody and explain it.
Okay.
And once you start doing it, and once you read the story, I mean, it's a very entertaining book. It's not like it's dry, and he tells a lot of stories and he shows how he helps a lot of people. Have you ever heard about the company that'll come into your house and completely repipe your house in one day?
No.
Using existing equipment, they'll come in one day, they'll completely repipe your house, replace all your pipes. And you say, how do you do that? Well, they go in and they use a plastic insert, and they go into your existing pipes and they basically repipe your entire house. It's amazing. The guy had this idea and he was trying to tell people how he was going to do this, and nobody could get it. Then he sat down with Brant, and Brant had him do the whole bullet point thing. Then they created the value statements, and then they started telling that story to strangers, and everybody, their eyes were just lit up. They were going, oh my God, I never thought you could do that. That's great. So that's what 3-minute rule and 3-minute Mondays is going to be all about.
Sounds great. I'm actually working on a pitch for the SBIR grant.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be pitching a robotic nurse assistant. So I think this will be perfect for our team.
Excellent. Excellent. I highly recommend it. And I think, you know, my whole goal with these webinars really is to start building a community of people who just get together once a month on a different topic. Like Pitch Anything is about pitching. And it's a whole different, it's based on the book Pitch Anything, which is another thing I highly recommend.
Mm-hmm.
But the 3-minute rule is really about narrowing your focus down and getting only what people need to learn across to them instead of what you want them to learn. I've learned after doing a lot of investor pitches that investors want to know a certain set of things, and entrepreneurs want to tell them a whole different set of things, and then some, and then some, and then some, until the angel investor or the institutional investor just throws up their hands and says, I don't think that's for me. Or
Right.
even worse, they don't say, I don't think that's for me. They say, oh, that's very interesting. Let's, let me look at it and I'll get back to you. And then, you spend the next 60 days chasing them down to realize that they were never interested to begin with.
Jay, are you talking about Pitch Anything by Oren
Claff?
Claff?
Yep.
Oh, okay, perfect. I'm actually listening to that audiobook right now.
Terrific.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So he does a webinar. Yeah, you have to join his group, but you pay to join. I joined it.
Mhm.
Every Friday at noon, he does a live Pitch Anything series with all the people who subscribe to this group. And it's basically questions and answers, and it's really, really cool. But, the day I tuned in after I read this 3-minute rule book, Brant Pinvidic was being interviewed, and I was just like, can't believe it. The two guys that I really respect are talking to each other about this whole thing.
Well, I'd hope it's a 3-minute interview because I don't think he would need more than.
Interviews are different.
I like
Interviews are
that.
entertainment.
I love that he points out that the human attention span is 8.2 seconds, but goldfish attention span is 9 seconds.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, you saw that, huh?
Yeah, very clever. And probably more than true.
Probably more. So that's about all I got today, unless anyone has any questions.
So the plan is to do this once a month and
Yep.
then analyze our pitches and help us, improve it over the next several months.
Exactly. But, obviously, if you have a team, Gabriel,
Yes,
and you get the book, you guys can start doing it immediately.
sure.
And I highly recommend it, especially if you're preparing a pitch, it's going to be more than 3 or 4 months away.
Right.
Or less, less than 3 or 4 months.
Well, actually, we submitted our first proposal to the SBIR, so we got a invitation to do the full proposal, and it's basically open-ended. We don't want to take forever, but I really do want to get it right.
Great. Have you
So,
talked with any of the SBDC people at UCR about, they have some really good SBIR experts that can really help you on that side.
yes. So right now we've been doing a lot of team building because we were missing a few members of the team to, make this project successful. So once we do that, we're definitely going to reach out to those, to the SBDC, and hopefully, I think one of their experts is going to help us to analyze our proposal and
Great.
and get it right.
Probably be Martin Kleckner.
Yeah, we've talked with Martin a little bit. I think there was another gentleman that was specific to healthcare, which is kind of what we're doing. So we might go with him, but he's obviously a very well respected and very good at what he does. So
Yeah, they're all good.
yeah, we'll be in good hands regardless of who helps us.
Terrific. No more questions from the peanut gallery?
No.
We've got a new one coming in though.
Yeah,
Jay, you're gonna have to start the whole process over.
sorry.
I'm
That was
excited to hear
that
what
was a
comes
one and
next.
done.
Yeah, I'm really excited to kind of dive into that whole process. Since we share the innovation center space, and we drop off packages to your guys' office, we saw all of those Post-it notes and we were like, whoa, what's going on? So to see that kind of in this light, it makes a lot more sense.
Right.
That's so interesting.
Yeah,
so-
I was like, oh, that's what they were doing with the Post-its.
Yeah, we still have those around the outside. Those were our reject Post-its.
Yes. No, but that's really cool. And yeah, like we said, I'm excited to kind of see how we can go through this process and help everybody
Great.
with their
Well,
stuff.
Eric, welcome. I know you came in a little late. What we were talking about is this book, the 3-minute rule. And basically, the author is a pitch person. He pitches television shows to networks. And he was spending 3 months and $30,000 on every pitch he made to a network, and he was only getting 1 out of 10 shows picked up. He switched to a new formula because his whole concept is the attention span of a human being is about 8.2 seconds. And if you don't get people engaged instantly, you're going to lose them forever. So instead of doing a 30 to 45-minute pitch to a network, he now does 3-minute pitches. It's gone down to 30 days to develop the pitch, costs less than $10,000. And whereas before he was getting 1 out of 10 pitches bought by the networks, he has now sold over 300 shows. He was the one who actually did extreme weight loss, where they follow the people for a year and watch them lose hundreds and hundreds of pounds. You know, he's done all kinds of reality TV shows, but the whole concept here is if you can refine your story down to the point where you're just telling them the basic facts, they'll understand your story, and even more, they'll be able to tell it to somebody else. So that's what 3-Minute Mondays are going to be about. We're going to start diving into our own stories and working with each other on how can we pitch more succinctly what we're trying to pitch to, whether it's an investor, a collaborator, somebody who's buying something from you, or like he says in the book, you could pitch the PTA. You know, you might be making a speech in front of the PTA, and you just need to narrow it down so that they understand what you're trying to say. So that's kind of a synopsis. Heather's going to have a recording, so if you want to see the whole thing, you can go into that too, Eric. But I'm glad you showed up.
All
So
right.
I think this goose is cooked.
Yeah, so everybody
Okay.
get excited. Next month,
Got pork in
we'll really dive in. And then we'll we can put a link out for the book, or you can I'm sure find it at your local bookstore would be preferred, but
Right.
I'm sure you can also get it online. And yeah, let's make the most out of our pitches here. This is awesome.
I got another question, Jay.
Sure.
So when you're writing your proposal to the SBIR, isn't that kind of like a pitch as well?
It is. It's
So-
a little different because your SBIR people are scientists, or they're in your field,
Right.
but it's the same thing. They have to understand what your story is in order to make a decision.
So I would imagine then there's a big difference the way we would do a 3-minute pitch to an audience versus, submitting a proposal / pitch to the.
That's very true. And he actually makes that point in the book. He says, you have to identify who your audience is. But when you think about it, if you break it all down into the nuts and bolts,
Mhm.
then you can assemble those nuts and bolts in different ways for different audiences. It's almost like, GM has their assembly line. And
Right.
if you ordered special things on your car, they're going to put those on, but they're going to take out other things.
Do you think it's hard for people to, write a proposal like that and then go, switch easily to doing the 3-minute pitch for a specific audience?
I don't think so. I think it would actually be easier if you did the 3-minute pitch first,
Right.
and then wrote your SBIR application and presentation based upon what you did on the 3 minutes. And
Okay.
then after that, you've got access to all that material, and you can just rearrange it the way you need to for that specific audience.
Great. Thanks so much for all your help.
No. Just trying to share, trying to help the community be more successful.
Well, it's appreciated.
All right. Well, I've got a call. It's
Okay,
some
thanks.
telemarketer in Kansas City.
Oh, you definitely want to get that one.
Yeah,
You don't want to miss out on your extended warranty. That's for sure.
right.
Analyze his pitch.
Yes.
I actually have done that. I used to pitch to investors all the time.
Uh-huh.
And eventually I got on a list. You know, they call it I forget what we called it, but it was derogatory. But I got on the list. So I was having people pitch me all the time. And I used to critique them. I'd say, you know what? You did a pretty good job on that, but you should not say this and you should not say that. And you should say this. And it was pretty funny. They'd usually hang up on me pretty quick. Good way to get on their do not call list.
True.
Try to be
That's
helpful.
true.
All right, guys, I'm going to sign out.
Thanks, Jay.
Yep. Thanks
Great
for
seeing
joining
you.
us, everybody.
See you
We'll
next
see you
month.
next.
Thank
See you
you.
next month.
See you
Alright.
next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.